If one could understand 40 to 50% of a language, the rest which they didn't understand would become like a ciphertext. According to the words said in front and behind, one could be able to guess the meaning of those coded words. This was what Qin Mu had done. He originally knew nothing about the devil language, but because of fate, he had heard the devil language at Goddess Pass in great ruins and memorized it. After that, he had met a devil god who was sealed in the wall in Doom's Suppression Palace who taught him great freedom Madra, so he learned a bit more of the devil language. With this knowledge, he could deduce what was being said. It was like deciphering a ciphertext. In the oath Dutian Devil King had made 3 times, there were numerous devil language words, and they were extremely pure. Qin Mu knew since a long time ago that the language of gods and devils contained a terrifying might. While listening to the 3 times Dutian Devil King made his oath, Qin Mu mastered the devil language to an astonishing degree. If Dutian Devil King now made an oath with him in human language, he could use it to compare to what was said before and learn the words of the devil language he hadn't understood before. It wasn't wrong of Dutian Devil King to say that he had taken the chance to learn. Now it wasn't too hard for Qin Mu to converse with Dutian Devil King in devil language, but to be on the safe side, he felt that it was still better to use the human language. He could then completely understand the meaning of the sentences so that he wouldn't get tricked by Dutian Devil King. Qin Mu's gaze flickered. In that case, does Devil King still want to make an oath? Dutian Devil King sneered. Yes, naturally yes. He knew Qin Mu planned to take this chance to master the devil language completely, but he could do nothing about it. The only other option was to kill Qin Mu, but if he did that, he would disappear as well. He was just a consciousness and magic power. Spirits of the deceased come back. Earth counts 9 packs. We submit ourselves to you. Dutian Devil King's voice sounded out and called Earth Count's taboo name to rouse the attention of this ruler of Yudu. This time he used the human language, so he had no way to play any tricks. Qin Mu carefully noted the meaning of each and every word. He was very careful and studied them over and over again. In time, he felt an indescribable energy surging forth from a deep space. This energy became stronger and stronger, forming half a gate in his mind. Dutian Devil King completed the oath and looked at Qin Mu. Qin Mu became even more confident in his devil language after comparing the oath's words in both languages. Only then did he speak the oath as well, and when he reached the part where it said "We submit ourselves to you," he could feel a pair of eyes landing on his body. To be exact, they landed on his soul. His soul shuddered as he felt the limitless power and the immensity of the one who controls the souls. This was an existence who controlled all the souls and held boundless power. He had no interest in the corporeal body, just the soul. If one violated the oath, he would descend and take away the soul of the violator. Qin Mu continued to speak out the oath of alliance, and half a gate gradually appeared in front of his eyes. This gate matched the half of Dutian Devil King's, forming a complete gate. Beyond it, there was endless darkness. However, below the gate, Qin Mu saw a yellow spring, although it probably shouldn't be called that. It was a bright and dazzling stream that had 9 bends and 18 curves which grew thicker and thicker towards the bottom, looking like the river of heaven. At the bottom of the endless yellow spring, he saw an emotionless gaze. This bright golden stream wasn't the yellow springs but horns. These were the 2 horns on the head of Earth Count, the controller of souls. Earth Count's 9 packs held of the meaning of the 9 bends. 9 packs were 9 bends. His horns were the 9 bends, the yellow spring. Qin Mu and Dutian Devil King had made an oath, and it was formed on the 9 bends of the horns of this majestic primitive god. Why was violating the oath called breaking a pact? It should be related to Earth Count's 9 packs. The oath of alliance was formed on the 9 bends of the yellow spring, so if one violated the oath, Earth Count would take away their soul. When the oath of alliance was finished, the gate closed and the vision in front of Qin Mu's eyes vanished. Hee hee hee. Dutian Devil King's laugh rang out, and Qin Mu was bewildered. What's Devil King laughing about? Nothing much. Dutian Devil King laughed non-stop, but he still couldn't resist saying it out loud while chuckling. Brat, even though you're as clever as a devil, you still fell into my trap. You made an oath with me and not my true body. I'm only a consciousness, and you made an oath with it. Now you better work for me sincerely. As for the words of Yudu, don't think that I'll tell you anything about them. This consciousness of mine can just be eliminated. I don't care. Qin Mu stared with his eyes wide open, unable to return to his senses for quite a while. Dutian Devil laughed long and loud and was very pleased with himself as he admired Qin Mu's helpless figure. After a moment, Qin Mu let out a breath and muttered, "No wonder Grandpa Cripple always told me to treat others with a smile and stab them in the back at the same time. Devil King, you're really a professional. Luckily, I'm not bad as well." Dutian Devil King's heart tightened. Qin Mu muttered to himself, "I've also a trick up my sleeve. I decided to kill your subjects wave after summoning them. This won't be seen as breaking the pact." Dutian Devil King was startled. Both of them fell silent. After a moment, Dutian Devil King said, "We're only harmful to each other like this. Since you don't believe me, there's no need to continue living in your body. I'll choose the second option. You will create a mechanism and I'll leave your body to leech onto the god statue. Don't worry, I'll teach you the language of Yudu after you finish building the god statue mechanism." "Deal!" Qin Mu was exhilarated. Old Ma frequently forged all kinds of furniture, and he had learned quite some handicraft from him. Including the path of painting and calligraphy he learned from Deaf, and smelting he had learned from Mute. It wasn't that troublesome for him to create a god statue mechanism. Qin Mu was about to start working on it when he felt a chill down his spine and cold sweat rolled down his forehead. "I almost got tricked by him. Before making the god statue mechanism for him, I have to summon the devils to complete the oath. Otherwise, if I only concentrate on creating the god statue mechanism and he teaches the language of Yudu to me without me summoning the devils, I'll be violating the oath and my soul will be taken away by Earth Count." Dutian Devil King exclaimed in admiration. "You're pretty good. If you came to my Dutian, you could survive there with your wits." Qin Mu let out a breath. If he wasn't careful when dealing with an existence like Dutian Devil King, even his bone marrows might be devoured by him. He went to the west room to get some money, preparing to buy some winter crystal iron and wood to sculpt the god statue. However, he saw Hu Linger standing at the door, looking around. Qin Mu smiled. "Linger, why aren't you cultivating but standing around here?" Hu Linger said with worry. "Imperial Preceptor still owes us 1,000 great abundance coins. It's time for him to repay." Qin Mu shook his head and went to the warehouse to get some materials, moving them to the courtyard. Sculpting a god statue wasn't hard for him. In just half a day, he had sculpted 5 different kinds of wooden statue under the guidance of Dutian Devil King. They were all sculptures of devil gods. "These 5 fellows are those that don't accept my rule. It's a treat to me if you summon them over to kill them." Dutian Devil King smiled. When Qin Mu finished sculpting the wooden statues, he cooked dishes and called Hu Linger, who was still at the door, to eat. She came over with a blank expression, and when she ate halfway, she suddenly muttered in a daze, "Young master, Imperial Preceptor still owes us 1,000 coins." Qin Mu took out a smelting furnace which he had stolen from Roland's Golden Palace to smelt winter crystal irons to forge the parts which were needed in making the god statue mechanism. While he worked busily until midnight, the scholars living around him couldn't sleep from the ruckus he was creating and complained to the directorates. A few directorates came forth personally and asked him politely to stop. Qin Mu could only do as they told him and went to sleep. On the second day, he opened the room's door and washed up, yet he kept feeling that something was missing. After thinking for a while, he finally remembered that there was something missing under the blanket when he was sleeping yesterday. "It seems like Linger didn't tunnel under my blanket to sleep last night." Qin Mu pushed open the gate to the courtyard and saw Hu Linger standing at the head of the dragon Qilin, who was outside. She was looking at the entrance to Scholar's residence, and her eyes were red, which showed that she hadn't slept the whole night. "Young master, Imperial Preceptor still owes us 1,000 great abundance coins," she said with disappointment. Qin Mu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He carried her up and tucked her away under the blanket before continuing to forge the god statue mechanism. When it came to the third day, Hu Linger was still standing guard at the gate. The little fox only weekly came back at night for dinner, sitting there in a daze for a long while. "Imperial Preceptor still owes us 1,000 great abundance coins." When the fourth day came, Hu Linger didn't say anything and didn't go to the door to wait. She had an unhappy expression on her face. Qin Mu asked with concern what was wrong, and she said, "I guess Imperial Preceptor really won't return the money." Qin Mu finally finished creating the god statue mechanism. It had 4 heads and 8 arms, and every joint in the body could move freely. All kinds of totem markings were imprinted on the body, yet Qin Mu didn't let Dutian Devil King enter it immediately. At this moment, knocking sounds came from outside, and Qin Mu took a glance at Hu Linger. He saw that the little fox was still in a daze and didn't go to open the door. He couldn't help shaking his head and went to open the door himself. An elder stood in front of the door. His clothes were old, but they were very clean. He smiled. Is this young Master Qin Mu? I'm the butler of Imperial Preceptor's manor and my surname is Fu. I have come under the orders of Imperial Preceptor to return the money. Qin Mu was astonished. Elder Fu, the rewards from the Emperor have come? Elder Fu said. That's right, they arrived. The Emperor rewarded Imperial Preceptor with 100 palace maids and 1,000,000 gold. Imperial Preceptor accepted these gifts, but the 100 palace maids are giving him a headache. He can't support all of them, but luckily there's some money now. However, after returning all the debts, I reckon only half of it will be left. Young Master Qin, here's the 1,000 coins. Qin Mu wanted to call Hu Linger over when he saw a flash of white light streak across his eyes. Hu Linger rushed over as if she was flying and snatched the coin pouch from Elder Fu's hands with a sweet smile. Seems like Imperial Preceptor is a person of credibility. Thanks for the trouble, Elder Fu. Elder Fu was astonished and didn't say anything. He then warned Qin Mu. Young Master Qin is wealthy, so you must be careful. Recently there's been a thief running amok in the capital city. Many rich officials have been robbed. The worst was Imperial Physician Yu. He cried in bed for so many days. There were also a few high officials who were robbed and didn't dare to say anything because they had lost too many treasures. Only their servants are discussing it. As he was talking about it, two elders walked into Scholar's residence while wearing brightly colored clothes and pieces of gold and silver jewelry, looking very extravagant. One of them was a cripple while the other looked like a middle-aged householder. They both seemed rich and imposing. Elder Fu saw the situation and said, You have visitors, so I won't disturb you any longer. I still have to go return the money to the others' families. Two of them had too much stolen, so if I don't return money to them, they will probably have to starve from today onwards. Cripple and Old Ma walked over. The former's face was glowing radiantly, while the latter had an air about him that said wealth meant nothing to him. Qin Mu invited both of them over and said, Where did Grandpa Cripple and Grandpa Ma go these few days? Old Ma said, Cripple tagged along with me to Liz Ho, sending disaster relief. Cripple smiled. Over there at Liz Ho, the rebellion caused chaos and destruction, resulting in starving people everywhere. Old Ma and I earned quite a bit of money, so we sent disaster relief there. Don't look at how we are wearing bright and neat clothes, these are all fake. This golden chain is that's gold-plated, and even this jade pendant is also fake. The real ones had been pawned off by Old Ma in exchange for rice and noodles which were sent to Liz Ho. The fellows from your heavenly devil cult are also there, helping everyone, so we handed the money for the rations to them as well. Qin Mu smiled. In that case, Imperial Physician, you actually did a good deed. When he mentioned the devil summoning to the two elders, Cripple asked with interest. That actually happened? You didn't throw my face and got scammed by that devil king, did you? You should let Old Ma handle this. Ma Wangshan has 3 eyes and he's the best at subduing devils. The heart of Old Ma's brows suddenly split open and revealed a white flesh ball. It turned half around towards the side and revealed an eye that shone bright Buddha light onto the center of Qin Mu's brows. Screeching cries came from there, and a voice shouted in misery. If you refine me to death, you're going to die too. Qin Mu immediately said, Old Ma, I made an oath of alliance with him. We have a pact of earth count. Pact of earth count? Cripple and Old Ma's hearts shook slightly. Old Ma immediately shut the third eye on his forehead and said with a solemn expression, Mu, you are too gutsy. Do you know how treacherous is Pact of Earth count? How can you sign this kind of oath with other people? Furthermore, the other person is not even a human but a devil god from another world. Cripple shook his head. How reckless! You're playing around with your life. Why did you have to make a Pact of Earth count with him? You just needed to tell us, and we could have gotten rid of him. Qin Mu said, I wanted to learn the language of Yudu. There was no need for a Pact of Earth count for that. Should have handed him over to Butcher, who would have definitely treated him with sincerity until he spilled everything in 3 to 5 days. Cripple shook his head. Butcher loves to play with gods and devils. He can make them desire death after barely 3 to 5 days. Let Butcher deal with him. If he doesn't die, I'll teach you, Qin Mu said with a blush on his face. The Pact of Earth count is already made and can't be changed anymore. I'm going to prepare to summon the devils now, and I'll have to trouble grandpas to help me. Old Ma said, Feel free to summon them, we'll just get rid of them. Qin Mu went to the warehouse of Imperial College to buy some bones. He took out his talisman treasure and started to summon the devils. Imperial College taught all kinds of techniques and spells, so no matter if it was the righteous path, devil path, or the Buddha path, there were some spells that required human bones to cultivate, so there were always some in the warehouse. The summoning went smoothly, and soon the runes on the devil god's sculpture lighted up. This time, there was no terrifying sight like what had happened in Heaven Wave City. The lack of it made it obvious that the devil god he was summoning now wasn't as strong as Dutian Devil King. In the sky above Imperial College, the astronomical phenomenon changed as majestic magic power broke through the sky and descended. It was like a black pillar crashing straight onto the scholar's residence. At this moment, countless directorates and scholars in Imperial College were alarmed, and even the Grand Chancellor was no exception. The strong practitioners in the capital city also looked over with anxiousness. Meanwhile, in Qin Mu's courtyard, the devil summoning was still on the way. Crackling sounds came from the wooden sculpture of the devil god, and it grew taller and bigger. Qin Mu heard a devilish voice growling. "This petty and lowly world, prepare to welcome the wrath of Kaiahe devil god from Dutian." At this moment, Buddha's aura shone brightly in the sky above Imperial College. A huge Buddha sat down in the sky and opened up his palm that was over a hectare large. The palm pressed down, making a crackling sound. Before the consciousness and magic power of this Kaiahe devil god could descend, he was shattered along with the expanding wood. Most of the directorates and scholars in Imperial College were shocked again. When the strong practitioners and guards of the capital city saw this, they calmed down. It's the Imperial College after all, there are always experts there. This level of cultivation in Buddhism is even rare in Great Thunderclap Monastery. For Imperial College to have such an expert, they can't be underestimated. Gulinwan brought a few directorates of Imperial College and rushed to the place of incident. Qin Mu popped his head out from the courtyard and smiled. Everyone came just at the right time. There a devil god had just jumped out, but he was beaten to death by my elder. Gulinwan's heart leaped, and he gave a smile that was not a smile. Be careful, Lord Qin. Don't destroy our scholar's residence. All right, everyone, disperse. With Lord Qin's elder here, there will be no problems in Imperial College. The directorates looked at one another in dismay. Gulinwan always couldn't get along with Qin Mu, so why was he so easygoing now? This situation was clearly Lord Qin summoning the devil, so why isn't Gulinwan causing trouble for him? Everyone was bewildered. Summoning a devil in the capital city is a death crime. Why is Grand Chancellor letting it be? Gulinwan left first, with cold sweat rolling down his forehead. His elder is here. Was it the blind man who had raised the river or the cripple that had stolen my sheath? Or could it be the half-bodied fiendish old man? No wonder His Majesty said I can't mess with him. I really can't mess with him. These fiendish people actually dare to walk out of great ruins. The capital is no longer peaceful. Any devils and monsters can actually come here. Qin Mu closed the door, and the directorates were alarmed. They immediately called the other scholars out of their residences and said, "It's extremely dangerous here. Don't stay in scholars' residence temporarily, otherwise you might not even know how you died. Scholars, go hide it out for 2 days and come back after it's peaceful again." All the scholars were in a daze after seeing the devil god and Buddha that had just appeared out of thin air and knew that scholars' residence was not a safe place anymore, so they immediately left. "Why are you not summoning the other devil gods?" Dutian Devil King's voice asked in Qin Mu's mind, questioning him. Qin Mu shook his head. "I've already fulfilled my promise and summoned your subjects. Now it's your turn to teach me the language of Yudu." Dutian Devil King was stunned for a moment. "There are still 4 sculptures." "Devil King, our oath is already half complete. Summoning 1 is summoning, same as summoning 5 is still summoning." Qin Mu then added, "If you don't fulfill your promise, Earth Count will take you to Yudu." Dutian Devil King was so angry that he broke out into a laugh. "What a crafty fellow, waiting for me to fall into the trap here. Very well, very well. Luckily I also kept a trump card. I shall teach you the language of Yudu, but only 1 sentence. I didn't say I would teach you the entire language of Yudu when I made the oath." Qin Mu stared with his eyes wide open. Dutian Devil King was pleased with himself. "I shall only tell you the words on this door, while as for the words on your scroll, you can forget about learning them. If you want to learn the entire language of Yudu, you can go down to Yudu and ask them yourself." These few days, Qin Mu had transformed into the form of Saturn's sovereign, and the words on the apparition of the gate had gradually become clearer. The words on the gate had been revealed and he could see them clearly, but the words of the scroll were still blurry. He probed. If I summon the other 4 sculpture over as well, will you teach me Yudu's writings on the scroll as well? No! Dutian Devil King was resolute. Qin Mu let out a sigh and smiled. In that case, teach me that sentence on the door. Dutian Devil King gave off a strange sound which seemed to be given by the soul. The weird sounds seemed like they were produced by billions of warped souls, and when Qin Mu tried it out, he realized that the strange language was unable to be produced by a human, so he couldn't help being astonished. Dutian Devil King chuckled. Some languages are not something a lowly life like you can ever learn. You produce your sounds through your throat, while the language of Yudu is not produced through the throat. When he spoke to hear, Qin Mu suddenly gave off a sound that wasn't produced through the throat. That sound came from his soul, and it sounded very similar to what Dutian Devil King had made. Dutian Devil King was slightly stunned and became on guard. This little devil is so clever, to actually realize that it was a sound produced by the soul upon learning that it didn't use the throat. If he continues to grow, I might not be able to beat him. It's best to kill such a clever devil as soon as possible. Qin Mu tried to produce sounds from the soul, and after a while, he finally learned the sentence completely. What's the meaning of this sentence? Dutian Devil King didn't reply, and Qin Mu was about to ask again when the other said, This sentence means Gate of Earth Origin. Qin Mu was slightly startled. Gate of Earth Origin? You're not lying to me? Dutian Devil King chuckled. Lie to you? Why would I lie to you? It really means Gate of Earth Origin, there's no mistake. Qin Mu was skeptical. For Dutian Devil King to suddenly be so generous, there was definitely something wrong with the sentence. Qin Mu's gaze flickered, and he smiled. Dutian Devil King, you can leave my body now. I already used winter crystal iron to make a god statue mechanism for you, so you can enter it. You can do whatever you want and summon any devil you want after that. Dutian Devil King smiled. You want to trick me into leaving so that the one-armed old monk can kill me? I'm not that stupid. Qin Mu shook his head and said to Old Ma and Cripple, Grandpas, I'll help you reattach your limbs now. Old Ma said, When you help us reattach our limbs, that devil god will likely take the chance to escape. Why don't we just refine him to death now? Qin Mu said solemnly. I can't go back on my word. I had promised to make a god statue mechanism for him and let him enter, so I can't eat my words. Old Ma didn't say anything more. Qin Mu took the bed out for Old Ma to lie on. He then took out Old Ma's arm from the medicinal cauldron and helped him to reattach it. He was busy reattaching when a spark flashed across the heart of his brows and landed on the 8-armed and 4-faced god statue with a sizzle. Cripple raised his eyebrows and beamed at him. This nuisance of a Devil King, I can let you run 800 miles first. Dutian Devil King took control over the god statue, and discovering that he could move freely, he immediately sprinted away. Just as he ran out of Qin Mu's courtyard, he heard a clack after taking over a dozen steps, and the 2 joints on his legs locked closed. Clacking came from the joints in his entire body, which sounded like locks being locked tight shut. The 8 arms of Dutian Devil King were raised high in the air, and he had one leg raised up which couldn't be put down. His entire body was stiff, and he was unable to move. UBTCH, you tricked me! A flustered and exasperated voice came from the god statue as it scolded. Hulinger's head popped out from Qin Mu's courtyard and took a glance at the devil god statue which was frozen in place. Didn't young master already tell you? He was going to be making a god statue mechanism for you. You see, haven't you been tricked by the mechanism instead? That's right, do you think young master is a male fox that has turned into a spirit? I think he's a little. Qin Mu reattached Old Ma's arm and Cripple's leg, placing the 2 elders in the medicinal cauldron. He had boiled a full decoction to cook to the 2 people while asking Hulinger to maintain the fire beside the cauldron. He walked out of the room and saw the sky turning dark outside. He went out of the courtyard and there was nobody around. They should have gone away to hide from the danger, and only Dutian Devil King was still standing in the alley outside Scholar's residence, unable to move. Qin Mu went forward and opened up the god statue's stomach. Inside, there were hundreds of intricate gears, and he stretched his hands in to give the gears a few turns. Dutian Devil King immediately felt his legs able to move again, and hurriedly began to run. After a few steps, he heard the clacking throughout his entire body, and his joints were all locked again. Big dragon, pull him back into the courtyard. Qin Mu told the dragon Qilin outside. The dragon Qilin wagged its tail, and carried its bulging stomach forward to bite one of the legs of Dutian Devil King. It then dragged him across the floor and threw him into the corner of Qin Mu's courtyard with a clank. UBTCH, come and fight me if you have the guts. Dutian Devil King scolded non-stop. What hero are you for locking me in place? Qin Mu turned a deaf ear to his cries and continued to mix the spirit herbs. Lightning suddenly appeared on the body of the god statue when the Devil King tried to fly out, but all kinds of runes lighted up. They were bright and contained lightning in the god statue. Dutian Devil King spewed out vulgarities again. The god statue was imprinted with the sealing runes of Roland's golden palace. Qin Mu had learned from the treasury there and had secretly placed them on the god statue while making it. Qin Mu was worried that the Devil King could still escape after entering the god statue, so he had added this kind of rune seal. Qin Mu finished mixing the herbs and looked seriously at Dutian Devil King, who was in the corner. You shall teach me all you know about the language of Yudu, then I'll release you. I'd be dumb to believe you, Dutian Devil King retorted angrily. Forget about tricking me again. Qin Mu had an honest face as he said sincerely. We can sign the Pact of Earth Count if that would put you at ease. At ease your ass. Hey, why is a Devil King like you spewing vulgarities like this? Vulgarities your ass. Forget about making me believe your words. If I believed you, I'd be the grandson of a tortoise. Cripple and Old Ma lay in the huge cauldron comfortably while the medicinal decoction bubbled and popped. Little Fox, increase the fire. Cripple narrowed his eyes and looked at his huge golden chain floating on the water. He then turned his head around and took a glance at the complaining Dutian Devil King before giving a laugh. This brat Moor has really grown up. I thought that you and I would have to make a move to get rid of this nuisance of a Devil King, but never would have I thought he would settle it by himself. Now I'm a little worried, not for him but for the people who are against him. Come to think of it, who did he learn to be so bad from, such craftiness? Old Ma stared at Cripple. The huge golden chain on his neck had also floated up on the water, the gold plating almost getting cooked off it. Cripple was bewildered. There are only good people in the village, so who did this brat learn to be crafty from? Could he have gotten bad after leaving the village? Old Ma continued to stare at him. Cripple smiled. What are you looking at me for? Is there something on my face? You're making my hair stand on end with your staring. Old Ma, were you a constable in the past? Every time you look over, I can feel my hair standing up. Old Ma turned away and said indifferently, I've been a constable for dozens of years and later held an appointment in the government office of justice. After I solved a huge case and became well known, Great Thunderclap Monastery found me and I stopped working as a constable. No wonder I always feel uneasy when you look at me. The monks of Great Thunderclap Monastery sure are busybodies, coming to find you even after you return to your normal life. The two people were cooked the whole night, and during the process, Qin Mu changed the medicine a few times. When the day finally broke, Old Ma and Cripple got out and washed up. Qin Mu had already prepared breakfast, and they sat down to eat together. Hulinger ran to help Qin Mu wash the bowls while Cripple rose with a smile. Mu or Old Ma and I won't stay here any longer, we're leaving. Qin Mu hurried, dried his hands and said, I'll see Grandpa's out. Old Ma waved his hand. There's no need. Cripple and I are at ease seeing how well you're getting by. We're both old and you can already protect yourself. Cripple still propped himself on his cane and took a look at him with a smile. Old Ma is getting sentimental again. Oh well, come and see us off. If you don't, he will be sad for the next 2 or 3 days. Qin Mu followed them and sent them all the way down to the mountain. Grandpa Ma, Grandpa Cripple, your arm and leg were just reattached so you won't be able to exert too much force with them. You have to nurse them for a year or 2 years, training them frequently so that no hidden dangers are left behind. Old Ma nodded. Cripple sighed. I've gotten used to not having a leg in these 20-30 years. I'm actually not that comfortable with having the leg that was severed suddenly growing back. Old Ma felt the same. Having been disabled for over half my lifetime, I keep feeling I have no need for this hand that has returned. Qin Mu sent them to the mountain gate, and Cripple smiled. Go back, you don't have to send us any farther. Old Ma waved his hand. Remember to come home for New Year's. I'll definitely return. Qin Mu nodded seriously and saw them off. Old Ma and Cripple walked out of the capital, and Cripple sighed ruefully. The little baby that we picked up back then has really grown up, yet we had almost sent him away back then. Old Ma agreed with a nod. Almost. Luckily you stole him back. The little brat isn't that gullible after our teachings. I was always worried he would be at a disadvantage outside, but now I can return to the village at ease. When Cripple said this, he suddenly stopped. Old Ma also stopped. The two elders looked toward Mud River in front of them. On the river surface, a middle-aged man was standing. Despite the water churning under his feet, he didn't move an inch. Cripple raised his eyebrows and asked with a smile, "Imperial Preceptor, your injuries are healed?" Eternal peace. Imperial Preceptor nodded. "My injuries are healed. How are the both of you?" Old Ma exercised his shoulders and said in a solemn voice, "We can still fight a battle." Cripple shook his leg and sighed. "Muir said not to exert too much strength, but if we were to fight, I could still use one leg." "Imperial Preceptor, you sure keep your composure. You knew we were in the room that day and knew I was the one who stole your items, but you still chose to leave and held yourself back until now. It must not have been easy." Eternal peace. Imperial Preceptor said indifferently. "My injuries were not healed back then, so I had no choice but to back off. Both of you are seniors and not evil people. Even when you were stealing, it was for disaster relief. I don't want to make a move on both of you, so as long you hand the Emperor's disc over, I'll leave you alone. We don't need to damage our good relationship." "Emperor's disc?" Cripple and Old Ma looked at each other and smiled. "I've researched Emperor's disc, that toy, for over 20 years to no avail, so it's no problem even if I give you. However, I've already gifted it to another." "Gifted it away?" Stars suddenly appeared above Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's head, forming a bright river of stars. It was evident that his inner heart was no longer calm. "Who did you give it to?" "The Palace Grandee of your Eternal Peace Empire." Cripple chuckled and left with Old Ma. "Palace Grandee?" Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor was stunned for a moment, and looked at the back of the two people. He didn't make a move but said softly, "The Emperor's disc was given to him? He actually dared to take it? Is he planning to rebel?" "The Emperor's disc is an artifact that was given to the founding emperor by a god, and it represents the imperial power. Furthermore, it is rumored to hide a secret should I ask for it from him." He stood on the heart of the river and muttered to himself for some time before shaking his head and turning to leave. "Imperial power is not something that can be decided by an item, even if it's Emperor's disc. Imperial power comes from the support of people and has no relation to the Emperor's disc." In Scholar's residence, Qin Mu's poured away the medicine decoction and washed the medicinal cauldron and medicinal furnace. After scrubbing them a few times until there were no more stains, he placed them under the sun to dry. Hulinga was helping to clean up when she saw a jade hoop on the table and exclaimed in astonishment, "Young master, the two elders left something behind." Qin Mu moved over to take a look and saw some writings on the jade hoop which looked very familiar. "This is Grandpa Cripple's Emperor's disc. Grandpa Cripple must have left it here. When I went into the darkness with Village Chief, Grandpa Cripple had hung this Emperor's disc on my neck, but I didn't have to use it. Why did Grandpa Cripple leave it here? He always picks up stuff along the way and never loses anything." He shook his head and tied the Emperor's disc to his jade pendant while thinking to himself, "I'll return it to him after I return to the village." He then dragged Dutian Devil King out and opened the stomach of the god statue. He did some adjustments and changed the orbit of the gears before saying, "Devil King, you can move now." Dutian Devil King sneered, "You're playing with me, I'm not moving. Little brat, wait for my true body to descend, I'll make your life a living hell then." Hulinger stood up and crossed her paws on her waist. "My young master has 100 ways to make your life a living hell," Qin Mu said meaningfully. "Linger, that's too little, how could 100 be enough?" Dutian Devil King chuckled. "Little brat, feel free to show me what you got. If I got scared, I would disgrace my cultivation of over tens of thousands of years." Qin Mu advised him. "What's the need for that? We are all from the Devil Path. Since I'm also of the Devil Path, you can just teach me the language of Yudu that you know and I'll let you off. Isn't that good for both of us?" "Bah!" Dutian Devil King spat. Qin Mu sneered. "I shall send you to Hall of Azure Yang to let Monk Fa Ching chant scriptures at you every day. Monk Fa Ching loves to redeem a devil, so he will definitely be overjoyed." Dutian Devil King sneered. Hee, I'm a devil that has become a god, redeeming me with just that? Let that monk Fa Qin come and let's see if he will redeem me or I will turn him into a devil." Qin Mu hesitated. Dutian Devil King was really devilish, so if monk Fa Qin came to redeem him, he might actually end up turned into a devil instead. "Young master, why hasn't he turned us into devils?" Hulinga was bewildered. Dutian Devil King shouted out in exasperation. "You little fox devil, do you guys even need me to turn you into devils? You two were such from the very start. I admit defeat this time, just end me." Qin Mu shook his head and said softly, "I'm not that kind of person. Linger, let him follow you from now on. I'll teach you how to control this mechanism." Qin Mu taught Hulinger how to control the mechanism. He had left a control station at the chest of Dutian Devil King, and by pushing a secret compartment gently, the control station would automatically pop out. The god statue mechanism that was made of winter crystal iron was extremely huge, a towering 9 yards tall, and Qin Mu had spent a great deal of money for it. Just the winter crystal iron alone had cost him 10,000 great abundance coins. The parts of the god statue mechanism also numbered in thousands. There were 800 to 900 of the gears alone, making the mechanism incredibly complicated. Even if Dutian Devil King wasn't willing to move, they could control him using the control station. The god statue mechanism had 8 arms and 4 faces, which looked very fierce, and it was extremely strong. Ordinary divine arts practitioners would find it hard to penetrate through the defense of winter crystal iron. At the heart of the god statue mechanism, there was a tiny pill furnace which was pretty similar to the one Qin Mu had forged for Fan Yunxiao. However, he had made the pill furnace on Fan Yunxiao's ruined ship for the first time, so he lacked experience. This time, the pill furnace was much smaller and more intricate than before. When Hu Linger sat down in the control station, she could send medicinal stones into the tiny pill furnace and use her vital qi to control the fire there. Even without Dutian Devil King, she could use this god statue mechanism as a heavy armored weapon. If Dutian Devil King treated the god statue mechanism as his body to help out in battle, the power he would be able to unleash would be no small matter. Divine arts practitioners of 6 Directions Realm would no longer be his match, and even divine arts practitioners of 7 Stars Realm couldn't say they would be able to win against him for certain. Qin Mu learned how to create this god statue mechanism from Mute Death and Old Ma. He had merely put together what the 3 of them had taught him, not creating anything new. The only creating he did was to put all of it together. However, this god statue mechanism was definitely at the level of smithing masters, mechanical masters, and rune masters. He had created a totally different type of battle method. Hu Linger was full of excitement, and ignored Dutian Devil King who was in the god statue mechanism's body. She immediately sat down into the small control station to control this god statue mechanism for a trial run. Qin Mu immediately said, "Big Dragon, follow her, don't let her cause any trouble." The dragon Qilin acknowledged his command and caught up to Hu Linger who was squealing and flailing the arms of the god statue. Qin Mu looked at the back figure of the dragon Qilin and saw its tummy nearly touching the floor. "It's time for this fellow to go on a diet." Qin Mu shook his head. This dragon Qilin hadn't been very robust in the past, yet even though he frequently starved, he looked majestic and no one dared to come close to him when he was guarding the mountain. But ever since it had followed him, he never missed the Scarlet Fire Spirit Pill and drank the water of Jade Dragon River to his content. This resulted in him becoming fatter and fatter, growing in size by quite a lot. If this continued, the dragon Qilin would soon become a huge meatball with only its belly reaching the floor. It could forget about putting his claws on the floor anymore. In the past, Patriarch definitely didn't give him 1 bucket of Scarlet Fire Spirit Pills or else this fellow would have already become as fat as a ball. He's lying about his rations. I think it's better to just give him half a bucket. Qin Mu held his breath with rapt attention and executed Overlord Body once again. He transformed into the form of Saturn Sovereign which had a human head but the body of a snake. The apparition of the scroll took form in his hand, and a gate gradually appeared behind him. Qin Mu turned around, and his soul trembled, giving off strange sounds. It was the language of Yudu that Dutian Devil King had taught him. The Devil King had called that Gate of Earth Origin, but even if he didn't know if it really meant Gate of Earth Origin, he had not learned the sentence incorrectly. He spoke out the words on the gate, and the Gate of Earth Origin gradually opened up and revealed a space of endless darkness. Qin Mu was stunned for a moment. He walked around this gate, and saw he was still in his own courtyard. The gate was thin beyond belief and seemed to have no thickness. From his current angle, he could only see a thin sheet of darkness erected vertically over there. Yet when he stood in front of the gate, he could see endless darkness in front of himself. "This is a gate that connects to the other world?" Qin Mu was stunned. He stretched out his palm and carefully put it inside the door, but there was nothing abnormal. "Is this the marvel of 5 Elements realm? Does other people's 5 Elements realm have this gate? Did anyone open and enter it before?" He was a little hesitant. What would he meet after entering this gate? Would the legendary Yudu be in this darkness? Could he still live to come back after going in? Right at this moment, Qin Mu saw a light coming from the world of darkness. It was a human and a boat. On the bow of the boat hung a dim lamp, giving off a ghostly light. The little boat was floating over to him. Under the light of the lamp on the bow of the boat, there was an elder folding paper humans and paper horses. With the flickering light, the scene looked extremely tranquil. Qin Mu tried to pop his head into the gate, only to see the elder taking down the lamp and shining it at him. When Qin Mu was shone upon by the light, he felt his soul being fixed in place and was unable to move. The elder on the boat hung the lamp back on the bow of the boat. When the light was no longer on Qin Mu's body, he let out a sigh of relief. Suddenly, his hair stood up on end as he lowered his head to take a look and saw himself standing on the boat, right beside the elder. The little boat was turning around unhurriedly, and Qin Mu turned his head back to have a look. He could see light coming from a gate that was far away, and in front of it, he was standing and looking in. His body in front of the gate seemed to be frozen, unable to move at all. If he was still at the gate, then who was he here? He looked around, but his surroundings were just darkness. The only light came from the lamp, and that light formed the gate of Earth origin. His heart turned icy cold. The elder who was folding paper humans and paper horses on the boat had shone this lamp on him and spirited away his soul onto the ship. The him in front of the gate was already a body without a soul. "Why did you take away my soul when I have yet to die?" Qin Mu asked the elder. The elder ignored him and continued to focus on folding the paper humans and paper horses. Qin Mu turned his head back and saw that the gate of Earth origin was getting farther and farther away. It greatly terrified him. Dutian Devil King had indeed hidden some things from him. This gate was probably not the gate of Earth origin, otherwise this elder wouldn't have snatched his soul. He jumped off the ship. He was still not too far from the gate, and might be able to make it back to his body. However, the moment he jumped out, he didn't fall into the water as he had expected. Surrounding the boat was darkness, boundless darkness. He was like a drowning person, flailing his arms everywhere, but there was no place for him to exert force on. He could only see himself continuing to sink, falling into the deeper and blacker darkness. He looked upwards, and the little boat in the darkness went farther and farther away from him. The light at the bow of the ship was also becoming smaller and dimmer. Gradually, the light was too tiny to be seen. "Dutian Devil King, that bastard, he really tricked me." Qin Mu felt as if he had fallen into a nightmare of endless darkness. He had no way to break free, no way to struggle and save himself. This was a darkness that made people lose all hope and sink into despair. Meanwhile, the boat which could carry his soul had already sailed far away. Suddenly, Qin Mu exerted all his strength to shout with his soul, shouting the language of Yudu that Dutian Devil King had taught him. The cryptic pitch was suave, craggy, and impossible to pronounce, but that was because it could only be shouted out by the soul. When he finished saying this sentence, a similarly cryptic and ancient voice came from the boundless darkness. This voice was also saying the words of Yudu, but it sounded like chanting. The voice seemed like it was a forebear from the ancient times, offering lives and fresh blood as sacrifice to a dignified god that bore the weight of the world. Qin Mu immediately felt his body floating upwards, and the speed at which he was moving became faster and faster, until he turned into a flash of light at the end. The shooting light whistled and flew out of the darkness, rushing into Qin Mu's body that was standing at the gate. The body trembled violently as Qin Mu gasped for breath. He was all covered in sweat as though he had just crawled out of the water. Meanwhile, behind the gate, the boat floated over once more without any hurry. The elder on the boat looked at him, but he didn't shine his lamp at him this time. Qin Mu stood in front of that gate, ready to disperse his Saturn Sovereign's form any time to let the gate disappear when he asked, "Dao brother, what's the meaning of your sentence?" That elder's gaze landed on his body, and the little boat turned its direction to sail towards the darkness. "Earth is the great origin. All things owe to it their birth, receiving obediently the influence of heaven. Earth, in its largeness, supports and contains all things. Its excellent capacity matches the unlimited power. Its comprehension is wide, and its brightness is great. The various things in it obtain their full development. The mare is a creature of earthly kind. Its power of moving on the earth is without limit. It is mild and docile, advantageous and firm. Such is the course of the superior man. If he takes the initiative, he goes astray and misses his proper course. If he follows, he is docile and gets into his regular course. The sentence that you said was none other than Earth is the great origin. If you had said it earlier, I wouldn't have taken your soul." That boat sailed farther and farther away before gradually disappearing. The elder's voice traveled over a great distance, growing faint. "This gate is Yuda's gate of heaven influence, its Earth origin heaven influence. Ghosts can enter, but it's not a place you can enter. Dutian Devil King had really wanted to harm me. Qin Mu was furious, but then he burst out laughing. Luckily my life was not lost, so I can just slowly deal with him. My soul seems to have changed a little. He felt that his soul had become much stronger after the journey to Yudu. Qin Mu was stunned. When he executed Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique, he felt an indescribable power coming from the gate of heaven influence which was nourishing his soul. He couldn't help being stunned. Even though Dutian Devil King had lied to him, not all his words were untruths. Dutian Devil King had been right. Knowing the words on this gate, and opening the gate could indeed allow his cultivation to have no shortcomings, so he could be even greater than Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor in this realm. Saturn Sovereign's form of his 5 elements realm was of utmost importance to him since it was crucial for his soul cultivation. After quite some time, Qin Mu felt his soul become more and more stable. When he looked at the scroll in his hand, the words there became clearer, showing him weird letters that had the shapes of birds, beasts, fish, sun, and moon. Even though he didn't recognize them, his gaze swept past them as though he knew what they meant. The marvel of the words on the scroll then automatically became part of his knowledge.